The Sims 4 Life and Death expansion pack recently came out, and it is an amazing pack. I have been playing it nonstop for like the past 4 days now. There are definitely a lot of occult aspects to it, and I think people that love playing occults will really like that pack. However, y'all know I don't really mess with occults all that much. Nothing against them at all. It's just never been my style of gameplay, and I usually play more like family gameplay, even though it's very chaotic families. What I am loving about Life and Death is that there are several new features that you can use with family gameplay. You do not have to be an occult fanatic to enjoy that pack. So this is a brand new family I downloaded from the gallery per usual. These are the Lanes. So Beatrice knows her age is getting up there, you know, like her days are probably numbered. So she's decided today that she should probably start planning for the end of life. So today Beatrice is going to start putting her will together. That's a new feature with Life and Death. Your Sims can actually put a will together before they pass away to determine what happens when they die, essentially. So if you go to your phone menu and click on home and then go to hire a service, you should see an option for inheritance lawyer here now. You can also do this on a computer as well if you want. An inheritance lawyer has been hired. They will arrive soon to help members of the household learn more about wills and start writing their own will. So the inheritance lawyer has showed up. It is Juniper Grove. That is randomly assigned for every save file. So first we'll be nice and we'll do a respectful introduction. And for some reason, she's attracted to Juniper. Okay. Then when we click on Juniper, we get this new menu for inheritance lawyer, and we can ask about all these different things before we start a will. So we're going to ask about wills first, because that's kind of the main priority right now. Wills allow you to designate what happens when either you or your entire household dies. Upon your individual death, your will dictates which gravestone or urn you'd like your sim remains to be stored in, what funeral activities you would like to be held in your honor, and passing on heirloom objects to another sim. Upon your full household's passing, your will dictates what happens to dependents who cannot take care of themselves, so child sims or younger, as well as pets, and where your household simoleons go, whether it's to another household or to charity. So let's ask about funerals now, because that is part of the will, is figuring out what you want to happen at your funeral. Sims can participate in a variety of rituals, large and small, to pay their respects to deceased sims during funerals. Funerals can be customized with specific activities to accommodate many end-of-life wishes, allowing you to represent the essence of each individual sim's personality in the event of their death. Okay, I guess Beatrice is gonna go piss girl, and we'll go ahead and ask Juniper about heirlooms. Heirloom objects are designated objects that have special value to you and may be passed down through generations of sims via wills. Many objects are worthy of being heirlooms: crafted items and artworks, chairs, tables, decorations, and more. Even toilets, believe it or not. If you own an heirloom object, be sure to write a will to make sure it's accounted for when you pass on. You wouldn't want your heirloom lost to time, would you? So those are the 3 things that a will encompasses, essentially. So when you are ready to start the will, you can click on Start Will. She's like, yes, I'm ready to do this. Now we have our will document. We have created a will, which can be found in her inventory. It's now up to her to decide who is most deserving of each inheritance. Keep in mind that simoleons from the Lane household cannot be passed down to other households unless Beatrice is the last sim in the household to die. Why she just went through the stairs like that, I do not know. So here is our will in our inventory, and if we click on that, we can read it, destroy it, or update will. We'll go ahead and update it so we can actually kind of start it. So here are all the different sort of categories we can choose from, and then you can clear choices as well if you want to start over. We're going to start with sim remains, so we can choose our funeral activities and our remains here. So funeral activities basically lets us choose what we want to happen at our funeral. You can choose as many of these or as few of these as you want. You don't even have to choose anything if you don't want to. Beatrice is pretty snooty, so she definitely wants like the best cuisine ever at this funeral. She definitely wants people to give eulogies. She wants a special musical performance in her honor, and she wants everyone to give her a toast. So we will choose those 4 options, and then you can see her writing that on her little will there, and then it will tell you that the will is updated. And we'll go ahead and update it again, and we'll go back to sim remains and then click sim remains, and you can actually choose your headstone or your urn, which is very cool. The occult options are in here too, like these 2 are for mermaids, this one and this one are for horses. So those are sort of the defaults for those sort of occults or breeds or whatever, but you can choose whichever ones you want for your sim. So she is extra as hell, so we're gonna get this really big one because she wants to be the center of attention even in her passing. passing. And there she is updating that again. So we've got our funeral planned. Now we have some special things that we want to make sure go to the right sim at our passing. You can see here in her room, we have these beautiful jewelry pieces, and we want to make sure those stay in the family. When you click on objects, a lot of them now have an option to make an heirloom, and that's exactly how you make an heirloom. You just click on it. Here Beatrice comes. She is making that into an heirloom. Beatrice has designated an heirloom. This object is clearly very special to her, so be sure to cherish it and keep track of it as time passes. At some point, Beatrice may want to pass on an heirloom to someone special to ensure it's treasured for generations to come. If Beatrice would like to pass on her heirloom upon her death, recipients may be designated via her will, which can be started via a computer or by scheduling a meeting with an inheritance lawyer on the phone. Oh, look, Nora just came over and like looked at it and was like, oh, I know that's my grandma's. That was actually really cute. I've never seen that reaction before. And then if we hover over it now, we can see that it has been designated as Beatrice Lane's heirloom. So we want all of these on this little table to be heirlooms. So I'm going to go ahead and assign all of those as heirlooms. So it's the same animation for all of those, and you get this pop-up each time. So those are all heirlooms now. So we're going to go back to update will, and this time click on heirlooms. And this way we can decide who gets what when we pass away. So the star-shaped gemstone, that has been passed down for generations in this family, and we want that to go to Matthew, our son. So we've got both of those highlighted in green. We're going to click the check mark, and then she will write that in her will. Now we're going to go back and assign another heirloom. So this delicate ring is the ring that Beatrice actually got from her husband who has passed away. Technically, this should have gone to Matthew, so he could use that to propose to Honey, but Beatrice just really doesn't like Honey, like I said, so he didn't give it to her because she didn't want Honey to have it. So instead, we are going to give this delicate ring to Zachariah so he can use it when he finds his special girl or guy to propose to. So again, both green, click the check mark, and she writes that in her will. And we're going to update our will with those heirlooms again, and I wanted these two things to go to Nora, the child, but I forgot that children's sins are too young to actually receive heirlooms in wills. So we're just going to give these two things to Matthew as well. And there we are, updating those, and all 4 heirlooms have been assigned. Now we're going to update our will, and we're going to go to simoleons. So I had a little bit of a hard time wrapping my head around this, okay? So as the instruction said earlier, the simoleon rule only goes into effect when there is no one left in this household. So for instance, if Beatrice would die right now, there's still 4 Sims in this household, so they wouldn't get the money, if that makes sense, because like it's a household that already have this money. But if Matthew and Honey and their children were to move out of the household into their own house, and then Beatrice would pass away, then this money rule would go into effect, and whatever percentages she assigns, they would then get because they're not part of the household. She would be the last one. If she dies, then there's no one left. So if you want grandparent Sims or parent Sims to be able to give simoleons to their family, the family needs to not live in the same household. You also have 2 options with this. So if we want to give 80% of our household funds elsewhere, we can assign it to another household or charity. So again, the simoleon money rule only goes into effect if you are the only Sim left in the household. So if I wanted it to go to Matthew and he lived in another household, then I would choose another household and then they would get the money. Or you can instead choose for it to go to charity, and then another Sim family or your relatives or whatever would not get the money. It would instead go to a charity. I do not plan on moving them out though for this little demonstration, so I'm not going to choose money rules because that just doesn't apply in this little demonstration. Like I said, the last option we have is for dependents. So Nora is considered the only dependent because child Sims cannot live on their own without an adult with no mods installed. So if you have child Sims or you have pets in your household, you can choose where you want them to go when you pass away. So you can pick what family they go to. So last but not least is we can leave a personal note. So we can set an emotion for that note. Again, she's really dramatic, so we want it to be really, really sad. And then if we go back to leave personal note, we can actually write our own personal note in here. And you can type in whatever you want in that personal note. And we can see here she is updating it, and will has been updated. Yay! So that's actually everything with our will. So we'll go ahead and read it. When you read it, you get this pop up here, and it tells you basically everything you've selected. The will of Beatrice Lane. The following actions will take effect when Beatrice dies. Heirloom star-shaped gemstone will be given to Matthew. Delicate ring will be given to Zachariah. Gaia. Chunky necklace will be given to Matthew. Sim remains preference. She wants a Mount K tombstone. I can never say that word right. Her preferred funeral activities are serve food, give eulogy, give toast, and play instrument. And personal note, be sad bitches, bye. And this was written in a way that makes Sims feel sad. So that is our will totally completed. And it looks like she finished her will right in time because it is her time to go. Very peaceful. She's lived a long life, but her time has finally come. Beatrice is dying of old age. And here's Mr. Grimm showing up. I love that they're just, you know, still watching TV, not giving a shit about Beatrice. Sorry for your loss. On the phone, Matthew can select business and take family leave for a bereavement day off. And there she goes. Beatrice has passed away. Begin a new chapter of life by becoming a ghost. Exciting ghostly powers await in the afterlife. Perhaps Beatrice has some unfinished business to attend to. You can also choose to relinquish control of Beatrice and allow her to stick around as a free roaming ghost. Rebirth into a new life with faded memories of those you once knew. You will be taken to manage worlds to select a household to rebirth your new sim into. If you've earned the burning soul trait, your soul will be able to manifest pieces of past personality traits along with certain others. If you choose to rebirth as a younger sim, you will have certain developmental skills immediately unlocked, giving you a head start in your new journey. So we obviously did not do really anything with her soul journey, so we cannot rebirth. So our options are either become a playable ghost or a free roaming ghost. I think I'm gonna save playable ghost to maybe another gameplay or another kind of walkthrough video. If you guys are interested in that, please let me know in the comments. So for this one, I'm just gonna choose a free roaming ghost, the usual what's always happened in our Sims games until this expansion pack. And here's Matthew crying because his mom is gone, but he still wants to chat with Grimm. We also got this notification. Your household is a recipient of a will from a recently deceased Sim. Keep an eye on that mailbox. It should arrive with the next mail delivery. Once you've received the will, be sure to read it out loud to receive your inheritance. Here, Matthew is so upset. He's depressed. He's mourning Beatrice. We have several moodlets here for mourning. We also have a new one, Looming Dread from Fear of Death. And here is her gravestone, and that is the one we picked out. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in his inventory. And while we're waiting on that will delivery, we're gonna go ahead and plan a funeral. So you don't have to do a funeral immediately when a death happens. You can wait a few days, or you can wait as long as you want. You don't even have to have the funeral if you don't want to, but we're gonna go ahead and do that, obviously. So it's Sunday. We're gonna make this for Monday. We're gonna add a funeral event. The departed sim is Beatrice. The host will be Matthew. And then we'll invite, obviously, our family. We'll go ahead and invite Juniper as well because she was just so great at helping us get our will together. You can also hire mourners. So if you're afraid, like maybe some of the Sims won't show up, or like your Sim is really extravagant and wants a lot of attention at their funeral, you can actually hire people to show up to it. I feel like Beatrice would want that because she is just like so extra. So let's have Nancy Landgrab show up with Jeffrey, and then we'll just hire a random person too. It does cost $100. And then she does want an entertainer. Remember, she put in her will that she wanted someone to make a special musical performance. She could actually do it herself, but we'll just go ahead and hire an entertainer. You can also set the guest attire like you can with other events. And you can also set a color. So I'm just gonna make the color black, you know, traditional funeral. Here we can select events for our funeral. So remember in the will, she kind of outlined what she wanted to happen at her funeral. You can choose those things or you cannot choose those things. It's whatever you want to do. But she wanted food, she wanted a eulogy, she wanted toast. You can see here the ones with the little will symbol on it. Those are the ones in the will. Play instrument, and then we're also going to add light candles because that's something that is something Matthew really wants. And then for location, I mean, you can have it wherever you want, but I'm going to go to Ravenwood, the new world that came with Life and Death, and we're going to use the cemetery there. And I'm just going to make the funeral for midnight because I think that's like super, super extra and kind of cool, and that's like not very far away. So that is planned, and now we have the icon there on our family calendar. And we got our notification that the funeral is coming up, so we'll go ahead and go to that event. We'll bring the whole family with us. And here we are at the cemetery, and Beatrice is actually already here as a free roaming ghost, so that was kind of cool. But look how pretty this cemetery lot is. Like, I think they did a really, really good job on this. And there's actually a mourner already here for somebody else, which I think is kind of cool. But here is the funeral chapel. I forget, funeral home. I forget what you call it, like where you have the actual like funeral at. Over here, we have a memorial display, and you can actually dedicate that to Sims. This is in build by too, so you could put this in your Sims household if you want. If you click on it, you can dedicate memorial display to household or dedicate it to display a specific Sim. We're going to choose that. We're going to choose Beatrice. And when we do that, her picture shows up in there, which is super cool. And then over here, we also have another memorial photo. If you click on that, you can update the frame and flowers, so you can change how it looks. We're going to go with walnut and white. Very pretty. And then we can assign Beatrice's photo in there as well. And here is the casket at the front. When you click on it, you can place a flower spray tribute or a drape tribute. I feel like Beatrice would want a flower spray tribute. The Sims actually do it themselves. It shows up as an action. So Matthew is putting that display together. Very, very pretty. And here's something else I really, really like. So I also had scars and trauma from my wedding stories and how there were supposed to be group activities and they really didn't work all that well, and it really sucked. So with this, what you can do is you can actually open the casket and then you can drag the urn or gravestone into the casket. So what that does is when the funeral actually starts, it is easier to get all of your Sims' attention here on the activity you're trying to do because the urn or gravestone is in there, if that makes sense. I will show you how exactly that works when the funeral starts. So the funeral is starting, and then we have our social event menu per usual. I just realized that I did not get anything to serve food, but that is okay. So the urn is in there, remember? So this Sim, Honey, I did not realize that was Honey. This is not a very appropriate funeral attire, but that's okay. So she's got up here and she's already paying respects. Juniper showed up. I believe she's going to, oh, she's lighting a candle. Olive Spectre showed up. Oh, hi, Olive. She's so pretty. I'm so excited she came back in Life and Death. Oh, Grim even showed up. When you click on your Sim, you do get a new menu option for funeral as well. So you've got all these options that are sort of just your Sim doing those. What you can also do is you can click on this podium, click on funeral, and then you can do these things. So she wanted a eulogy, so we're going to do a mournful eulogy as soon as he stops talking to himself in the bathroom mirror. And when that happens, your Sims automatically start going to their seats or standing over here to listen to it, except Olive and Grim, who are being very rude right now. Oh, Nora's just standing back here all awkwardly. Kind of annoying that these random Sims are just kind of running around in here, but this is the first time I've had problems with that, honestly. You also get this pop-up reminder as well, which I think is really cool. There are objects found in build mode that are designed to work well with funerals. The Simple Life, Simple Death podium houses many funeral interactions that a Sim might like to complete during the event, which is what we're using now right there. The burial casket and gravesite objects can store Sim remains, so feel free to drag a deceased Sim's urn from a Sim's inventory to the floor or ground and then into either of these objects. And that's what I did earlier when I moved her headstone into that casket. These objects also allow for funeral interactions to be performed by selecting the urn or gravestone inside. To view the urn inside the burial casket, select open. Place a memorial display, a memorial portrait, and dedicate it to the deceased. And we already did that. We also have a memorial cannon to give the Sim the most epic send-off, and that is outside, and we will do that. Although guest Sims will grieve freely during a funeral, interactions like call over guests can help bring attention to certain activities that you would like to complete. Funeral activities and interactions can be found by selecting Sims, the funeral podium, and the urn or gravestone while a funeral is in session. And we've seen all of those, and that is what happened when we clicked on the podium as well. So here's what happens when we click open on that casket now with her gravestone in here. When you click on it, you get these extra options of lighting a candle, moment of silence, or mourn Beatrice. We can also reminisce about deceased and strengthen connection to physical world. So we are going to go light a candle now. And what happens is he actually goes to the side of the casket to light that candle. Whereas usually if you like select the action, the Sim does it like right where they are. By doing it by choosing the actual headstone to do it, then they go there. So it's like they're interacting with it, if that makes sense. So once you're done with all the activities that you want to do in here, you can go ahead and have activities happen out here at the actual grave site. So if you hover over one of these or even one of the dirt ones, it says drag Sim remains or occupied burial casket here to assign plot to that Sim. So it looks like you're supposed to be able to drag this over here, but I've never been able to get that to work. So what I usually do is I just open the casket, I move the urn or gravestone into my inventory, and then I just drag it out of my inventory to whatever plot I want my Sim to occupy. So let's say that I want to move activities outside outside to the gravesite. I can click on her headstone, click on funeral. We can call over guests. Here comes everyone outside. We can click on funeral again, and we can pour one out. Oh, someone started giving a eulogy, so he is going back inside to listen to that. I'm canceling that out. Okay, now here we go. Everyone's outside. We're pouring one out. We can give a toast. Usually when you do the toast, that's when other Sims will come out automatically too, to either cry or give a toast as well. Here we can also have a moment of silence, and other Sims around the gravesite will automatically participate in your moment of silence. Here goes Nora, even going, but like she's really gotta go piss girl and she's hungry, so we'll fix that real quick. Oh God, Zachariah's about to pass out. We'll fix that. Kind of forgot there were other Sims that I probably should have been paying attention to, but now here they all are participating in that except her who's crying, which is okay because that's still appropriate for a funeral. You'll also get different moodlets down here depending on how the funeral is going. Right now we have one for respite for the departed. We also have this one for fear the reaper because the reaper's around us. Here's one. They wouldn't approve. They must be turning over in their grave. Each tradition performed, each word spoken that doesn't resonate with his loved one's beliefs or desires stirs a sense of sadness and frustration for Matthew. So there are actual moodlets for when you don't follow what is in a Sim's will. Like you do get moodlets over that. Now it's almost daylight. Funeral's almost over. So I mentioned those cannons. They're actually placed outside in this cemetery and they are in build by. To click on that, you can fire the memorial cannon. Here's someone giving a toast to Beatrice on their own. So look, most of them are coming over. So it is much better than my wedding stories where it was really unreliable. For the most part, the Sims participate in the activities you're telling them to do. It's not perfect, but it is much better than when my wedding stories launched. I think I missed the cannon on accident. We're gonna do that again. All right, so they're all listening to the little speech. And there goes the cannon. It's some confetti and it's a really exciting time apparently for the Sims. Beatrice would have loved it because it's just very extra. I just got a notification that school for Nora starts in an hour. So we can actually take leave for that. We can take family leave from school. And if your adult Sims have jobs, they can also take a family leave day for that. And then if you accidentally forget to take the vacation day or day off school, you do get a little pop-up. Zachariah is a bit occupied right now. Should he still go to school? We're going to take a vacation day from school, like an excused absence. So that is a basic overview of the funerals. Obviously, you can get much more detailed and in depth with them. I kind of find it more fun the less activities I have to do, so then I'm not so like stressed and I can actually focus on the Sims and their reactions. They do have different reactions and grief styles depending on the relationship they had with that Sim. We didn't see a whole lot of it here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for those actual like grief moodlets and reactions to show up. It is 2 days after the funeral and we finally got our mail delivery. I think it took a day extra because we had the funeral at midnight. So let's actually, Matthew is going to take PTO today and we are going to get our mail and our will, but Beatrice's mail, I cannot speak. Beatrice's will should be in there. Is it in there, buddy? All right, everything's been collected and there it is, the will of Beatrice Lane. We will read the will out loud. Beatrice's will has arrived. It lists the heirloom, the gemstone that goes to him, the ring that goes to Zachariah. Oh, he's so sad about it. Lists the rest of those heirlooms, listed the funeral activities and the personal note. And we are very, very sad about that. What a depressing will. That will reading left Matthew feeling down. If only things could have been different. And now if we open Matthew's inventory, there are those heirlooms that were assigned to him. I'm going to bring Zachariah home from school. And then in his inventory, we have the heirloom from Beatrice as well. So if you click on one of those heirlooms, you actually get some options under heirlooms. You can call upon the Sim, claim a higher value, think about the owner. You can pawn the heirloom, and you can also pass on the heirloom. So Matthew doesn't have really any use for this necklace on his own, so he is going to pass this along to Honey. She's going to get the chunky necklace. And now we're updating that will, or actually we updated his will, I'm sorry, and now we have a will of Matthew Lane in here. It says that we created his will, and if we read it out loud, the only thing in there right now is the heirloom. For when he dies, that heirloom should go to Honey. He wants her to have it when he passes away. Something else that that I should have done with Beatrice that I didn't do was actually claim these at a higher value. So if we click on this in heirlooms, there is this option for claim higher value, and we get this notification, would you like to claim a higher value on this heirloom? This will let Sims who inherit this heirloom sell it for more simoleons as it gains value over time. Matthew has successfully claimed a higher value for an heirloom, and now whoever inherits it can get more money from selling it as long as their conscience can handle the guilt of selling a priceless heirloom. So I recommend doing that, and again, I forgot to do it with Beatrice. So any heirloom that you want to pass along, you can always increase the value of it. So as it continues to get passed along through your Sims generations, if you do that every time, it will significantly increase in value through the generations. So I think that's very cool, especially if you play like legacy challenges. Like you could start with one heirloom in your Gen 1, and then if you get all the way to Gen 10 and you've upped the price value every single time, think of how like valuable that thing is going to be at the end of generation 10. But like it said, you know, some Sims might not be so pure of heart and might pawn it off if they, you know, are a little strapped for cash. So, you know, who knows if it'll actually make it to generation 10, depending on how your Sims personalities are. I hope you enjoyed this, and make sure you check out this video here to see how I made Mean Girls into the ultimate horror movie in The Sims 4.